Hey everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And today I came in to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on with me the past few months and why I haven't really been making videos and, what's been going on with my work status. And then also I wanted to talk about an encounter that I recently had with Social Security disability. So anyone who's been rocking with me since I started doing YouTube videos knows that I tell you the story about me having spine surgery, me being home after the spine surgery, being bored, and, turning on YouTube, finding black YouTubers, falling in love with this whole platform, and then deciding that it was something that I wanted to try my hand at. But what I didn't tell you is during that time what I was going through. So in March of 2016, I went out from work. What had been happening is I was having a problem with my cervical spine, meaning the part up around my neck. I had some degeneration in my C6 and C7 spine, and I was having all this pain in my neck. Y'all, sometimes it was so bad that it was like I was a baby, a newborn baby, trying to hold my head up. It actually hurt to literally hold my head up. So I had done all of these tests my doctor had sent me for, and finally I was told that, I needed surgery on my cervical spine. So I had the surgery in April of 2016. And immediately after the surgery, when I got home and once the anesthesia wore off, and those first few weeks after the spine surgery, I noticed that I was still in pain. So you know how you have to go to your first post-op appointment with your specialist to, go over the progress since you had the surgery? Well, at that first appointment, I told the doctor that basically I was still hurting. And I was afraid because I needed to get back to work. So maybe this was probably about 4 weeks in to, after I had my surgery. So what I was told by the specialist is that give it a little time. Some people heal a little slower than others. And, he would see me at my next appointment. So that was about a month in. And then about a month later, I went back for my second post-op appointment. And again, I told the doctor I'm still in pain. Basically, I'm feeling the same pain that I was feeling before I had the fucking surgery. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and I'm going to say this. When they were telling me all the ins and outs of the surgery that I was going to have, what they told me is 50% of the people that have the surgery wake up and they have no pain from that moment on. But the other 50%, they wake up and they still have pain. What they explained to me is that they weren't necessarily doing the surgery to stop the pain. They were doing it to stop further damage to my cervical spine. And if in the course of doing that, it also stopped the pain, then it was a plus for me. Well, unfortunately, with my luck, as it always is, I fell in the 50% that the pain did not stop. So I left that second appointment feeling really down because by then I had been off work 8 weeks, okay? And I'm basically still feeling everything that I was feeling before I had the surgery. So then I had one more post-op appointment, and that was about right before my 12th week of being off. I go in, I tell the doctor once again, I'm still in fucking pain. At this appointment, he suggested to me that I let them do surgery on my hand. what he explained is that the surgery that I had really is effective from the neck down to the elbow. And they said in the course of examining my hand, they noticed that I had carpal tunnel, and that when you have the carpal tunnel surgery, it repairs and stops pain from the wrist to the elbow. So they kind of thought that maybe that might be what it was. Now, here's the thing. The surgery that I had, the pain that I had and the damage that I had, it affected the left side of my body. So when they looked at my left hand, they said that, I had carpal tunnel problems in that hand. But the thing is, y'all, I am right-handed. So at that appointment, I told the doctor, I said, I know I have a little bit of, carpal tunnel damage in my left hand, but by me being right-handed, it's more prevalent on the right-hand side. And I really don't want to have another surgery. And I just had a major spine surgery with the fusion. I got a damn padlock in my neck. I really, don't want to have surgery on my left hand when, if I'm going to be having a carpal tunnel surgery, it seems like I would be having it on my right hand. Now, when I told this fucking doctor that, he got all up in his feelings and basically dismissed me from his care. So what I had to do was I had to find another specialist. Now, the doctor that I'm seeing is a neurologist because the pain that I have is due to nerve damage in my cervical spine. What happened is the bones in my cervical spine started to disintegrate, and they were like pancaking on each other. So I went out, found another neurologist, and went to him. I explained to him the surgery that I had. I had all my records transferred and all of that. And, this doctor sent me to have a more extensive nerve conduction test. I've had nerve conduction tests before, but I'd never had one like this. The test lasted about 35 to 40 minutes. They wrapped me up like a burrito. And of course, they're sticking needles in your arm and, running all these tests and blah, blah, blah. So the person that did the nerve test, he agreed with me. He said, yes, I do notice that you have a little carpal tunnel in your left hand, but it's your right hand that's, really the problem. So, the doctor that I had, the new doctor, he said, well, okay, while you're off work, let us go ahead, since you have not been released to go back to work anyway, let us go ahead and do carpal tunnel surgery on your right hand. So I got that done, y'all. I even came in and did a video the day that I had the surgery and blah, blah, blah. So at this point, they done cut my fucking throat, because when they do the spine surgery that I had, they go in through the front of your neck. So think about it. They done cut my fucking throat. They done operated on my right hand with the carpal tunnel surgery. And all this time, during all of this, I am still in fucking pain. So during that time, I was on short-term disability when I first went out from my job. That short-term disability, it runs hand in hand with your FMLA, and it, ran 12 weeks. So right before the 12 weeks was up, I received a letter from my employer terminating me from my job. Now, what was happening right around the time that I received that termination letter is I was transitioning from short-term disability to long-term disability, because I had passed the 12 weeks, the 3 months that you're off, and I still was not getting any better. Once again, as I tell you guys, I was still in pain. So at this point, I was like, okay, so I'm not going back to work. These people have fucking fired me. Right now, I can't even think about that, because I'm worried about my health now. Because, I done had this damn surgery and this shit didn't work. So I was on short-term disability, rounding out about 4.5 months on it, and I get a letter from my short-term disability company telling me that, once I pass 5 months on disability, through my employer, that I needed to sign up for or apply for Social Security disability. So it wasn't like a request. They told me that I needed to do it. And they actually sent me the papers. So it was no problem. I signed up for it, not thinking, anything about it. It's just one of the requirements when you're transitioning to long-term disability. So eventually I started getting the long-term disability. I went from getting a check every week with my short-term disability to getting a monthly check from long-term disability. And that monthly check is roughly about what you would get if you're getting Social Security disability. So I'm sitting at home, and this is about the time you guys meet me, because I'm sitting at home in pain, nothing to do, and I happen upon YouTube. So y'all, this went on month after month, me going to see specialists, trying to figure out what's going on with my damn spine. And in the course of one of those visits, I have an MRI. And the new doctor, the new neurologist, tells me, well, we see that you had surgery on the C6 and C7 part of your cervical spine, but we're seeing problems now on the C4 and the C5. Now, y'all, if I remember correctly, you only have 7 cervical spine bones or whatever it is up in the upper part of your neck. So if they've operated on 2 of them and now they see 2 more, basically what the doctor told me is you had a fusion done. So basically I had a spine, they corrected my spine and then they did a fusion, which means they put this little, what I call a padlock. It's like a flap, and it has 4 holes in it, and they have 4 screws, and they screw those screws into your bone, and then eventually what is supposed to happen is your bone and your neck is supposed to fuse over that padlock and basically become part of your cervical spine. So the doctor told me that the C6 and the C7, that they could see that the fusion was beginning to happen. I was just a person that, the actual healing just took a little longer. But what he explained to me is that if he did the surgery on C4 and C5 as well, that it was going to be really bad. He said if you thought the recovery from the first surgery that you had was bad, this one is going to be even worse, because at this point your entire cervical column would be fused, and he said the recovery on that was really bad. Now that scared me, because when a doctor tells you that something is going to be bad, it's going to be painful, y'all know it's going to be really bad. Because normally you could be fucked up and they'll be like, oh, you're just going to feel a little pinch here, and it feels like they're damn near tearing off part of your head. So when he told me that, he was like, well, it's something right now that you don't have to think about, and even with that, at the end of the day, it's your decision if it gets really bad, whether you want to go through with it. So I put that on the shelf. I said, Lord, I'm not going to think about that. I'm still all fucking with the first surgery, and I really don't need to be thinking about another one, because at that point, think about it, y'all, I had a spine surgery and I had my hand, surgery on my hand. In the meantime and in between time, I'm sitting here at the house, do something wrong, go to walk wrong or something, and fuck my knee up, y'all. Tore my goddamn meniscus. Woke up one morning, I noticed my knee was hurting. felt kind of funny, lifted my gown up, and y'all, my knee was swollen the size of a fucking watermelon. I had to have my son come over, help me get dressed, and I took my ass to urgent care, and they told me after doing an x-ray that I had torn something. They sent me to the ER to make sure that I didn't have a blood clot or something. Y'all, it was a mess. I was on crutches and a brace, all kind of shit. Physical therapy, blah, blah, blah. Went the whole 9 yards with that. Eventually had to have fucking surgery on my knee. Now, keep in mind, y'all, while all this is going on, I'm still recovering from the fucking spine surgery. So around this time, it's November or so of 2017. Now remember, I had the spine surgery in April of 2016. Yeah, 2016. So I get a letter back from Social Security Disability telling me that my claim, I think it was in November, might have been a little December or January. So I'm just going to say the letter came because I don't remember exactly when it came. And they denied it. I wasn't upset about it because it wasn't something that I pursued. It was something that the disability company made me do. So I didn't think anything more about it. But what happened is I got a letter from the disability company who was paying me monthly that they wanted me to appeal the denial, and that they, had a part of that company that helps me with the appeal. So because they were doing everything, basically all they wanted from me is the name of the doctors that I had seen, and then they said that they would do everything. So I was like, well, okay, because I'm sitting at home trying to still recover from the spine surgery. So they appealed the denial of the Social Security. Now, meantime, y'all, in the meantime, the knee, I've had that surgery. It's healed. And what has started happening is this. I went from a person who worked every day for years, raising my kids after I was divorced, taking care of 2 kids and putting one of them through college and all of that. So I was used to working, having a full income. This money that I was getting monthly was barely paying for my essentials. So basically it was keeping a roof over my head, food in my refrigerator, and paying up some of my bills, but nothing extra. So around this time I started saying, look, I'm sapping out all my savings. This money is barely covering, just the bare necessities of life. Forget anything extra. I'm going to need to figure out a way to try to go back to work. But while I was recovering, it's something that I noticed, that when I was stressed, it made me hurt. And I asked my neurologist about it, and he was telling me that, with the type of nerve damage that I have, that stress can cause you to have pain. So when I thought about going back to work, the job that I had before, it was pretty stressful, y'all. I work in the healthcare field, and I was a patient care advocate, which means that, I work with, members of an insurance company, and basically my job was to help them do anything that they needed to get done to help them when they're experiencing a catastrophic illness, or they're going through a health event. I'm there to walk them through and bridge the gap between them and doctors, them and hospitals, them and their pharmacy, just every part of it, helping them get claims paid and all that kind of stuff. It could be pretty stressful when basically you're telling someone, don't worry about it, I got it, and you got to have it. You got to make sure that all of that stuff is done. So I knew that dealing with my own medical crisis, that I didn't have time, y'all, to be fucking with nobody else's. That shit was going to stress me out, and that it was going to cause me more pain. So I've been in the healthcare field for going on 11 years or a little over 11 years now. So right now, that's all I knew. But I just knew that I needed a job because I could not be sitting at home, with this little bitty ass money that I was getting monthly. So what I decided to do is I didn't think I was ready to go full force into an employer, sit down and that was going to be it. And I was back, head first into the workforce after, while I'm sitting here recovering from this surgery. So what I decided to do is I decided that I was going to temp. I was going to go through some healthcare temp companies, let them find me jobs. And here's why. I said, what if I go back to work and I'm working a couple months and something happens and, I'm unable to carry on. I need to go back home and rest up a little bit more. Now, where I live at, the healthcare little community here, Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Anthem, it's very small. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. I have worked at Blue Cross. I worked for Medicaid, Medicare. I worked for a Medicaid HMO. I worked for a company that worked with self-funded health insurance plans. So what was happening is, because this community is small, I would leave one job and go to another job and see about 20, 30 people that I knew. Old supervisors from one company. When I went to the new company, now they're the manager at this place. And I was just seeing all kind of people. So what I said is, you know what? I don't want to go back in, have somebody hire me. I'm there for about 2 months, and then my spine problems, kick in and I can't work physically and have to quit, and then sully my name out there in this this healthcare industry. So the next time I go somewhere to interview, the person interviewing me will say, I walk out the door and they'll say something like, you might not want to hire her. I remember she worked at this other company. She was there for 2 months, and next thing we know, she was MIA. She quit. So that's why I decided that maybe going through a temp agency was better, because, you can decide to leave if it's not right. You can work for a temp company, and if you don't like the job, you don't have to go back. You just call the temp company and say, you know what, I don't like that place, find me another assignment. But what I did is I tried to look for, assignments that were at least 6 months or more, because I did need some stability, because y'all, I got bills. So I did that. Now, what was happening is, every time that I would go to the temp, job, I would be there about a month or two, and I came with a lot of experience, so they were trying to hire me. Now, I said to myself, I said, you know what? I'm not going to accept a position that I know that is going to be stressful down the line, and it will cause maybe me to have a relapse, or for me, remember, the doctor saw something in C5 and C6, and I was thinking, and push me into having surgery on that, because I've stressed myself out, and now I done fucked up the other part of my spine. So I was taking, well, let me just say this. So I put in my mind that I was not going to take any job that was stressing me. I made up in my mind what type of position that I needed. Basically, I need a job where you can go in the morning, you have a set amount of work to do. They show you to a desk, you sit down, it's quiet, and you just do your work. And y'all, I found that. I am working now for a health insurance company. I'm what they call a denial coordinator. Basically, what happens is, and I don't want to bore y'all with the details, but I'm just going to try to summarize what I do briefly, and so you can get an idea. Basically, like, just say that you're scheduled to have a procedure done. Well, when you have a procedure done, your doctor or the hospital is supposed to call your insurance company and get prior authorization. Well, there are some doctors and hospitals who don't do that. They go ahead for one reason or another and do that procedure and then try to get the authorization after the fact. So I am the person at the insurance company that helps that provider and that member get that authorization done, or explain to them why they're not going to get it. Okay? So it's easier work. Now, it's still, using my brain, is still using all the experience that I have, but it's quiet. So basically, I got cases that I work on. I just come in and I do my thing. I'm not stressed out. I go to lunch when I want to. I go to break when I want to. This is a cushy job. My boss does not micromanage you. Basically, in my interview, she told me that she believes that every person that she hires is an adult, and there is no need for her to sit and micromanage adults. You know what you're supposed to do when you come into work, and she expects you to do that. So I've been working at this company for about 4 or 5 months now, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact day, but let's just say 5 months. So around October of 2018, I get a letter from my disability company, the one that was paying me through my job. And they say that I got a court date. That with Social Security disability. My appeal has come up, and now I have a court date to sit in front of, a judge or whoever these folks are that you go sit in front of and discuss my disability case, the problem with my spine. Now, around this time, y'all, the job is going good. I can see that this is something that I could do long term. It doesn't stress me because I work at my own pace. As long as I'm there 8 hours and I am working in the position that I'm in, that is success for them. So I basically call the disability company and I tell them, I say something like this. I tell them I'm 53 years old. If I live just as long as my mother has lived up to this point, that's another 20 years. Okay, so that'd be 20 years I have to work. And I have a grandmother that's still alive, who's 94. If I live as long as she's lived, I still have 40 more years on this earth. And I cannot imagine sitting at home with the bills that I have, trying to make that money stretch in all these different directions. It wasn't going to work for me. So I had decided to not even go down to the court case. I called the disability company and told them I don't want the the Social Security disability. Forget it. Don't send me any more letters. I'm working now. But what happened is I got a young lady on the phone that actually let me talk and explain, that I probably got 40 more years on this earth, probably 20 more years to work because, child, we probably be working till we about 75. So I got some years to work, and I didn't want to be getting a check every month. And to be classified as disabled right now, when there is work that I can do, it just can't be stressful. So what the girl told me is this. She said, you know what? You should still go though. She said you applied, you were denied, it was appealed, and now you have a court date. Still go. She said because maybe you might not want the disability going forward, but get it for the 16 months that you were actually not working. At least go and request them to review that time. So when I was listening, I said, well, that makes sense because I actually was off of work 16 months. Felt like longer than that, but yeah, it was 16 months. So y'all, I decided to go down to the, to case, and y'all, I'm not making sense. I'm tired, but y'all know what I mean. I went to court. The disability company, they actually provide an attorney. So I didn't even have to find my own attorney. I spoke to the attorney before we briefly went over my case. He, got clarification on I didn't want disability going forward, but they could review the 16 months that I actually was off work. So I go to the court. I'm in front of the judge. She's reviewing my whole life history of damn near y'all every job that I have ever worked at. I didn't have to tell that bitch nothing. She knew where I worked, what city it was in, how much I made when I was there, my start date, my end date. She just wanted me to tell her what I did at each job. Y'all, she even knew about YouTube because it came up because we get paid for it. So she was like, what is Google? I see that you get a check and you've been getting that since blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa. I told her about making videos, and she was a little bit older and she didn't understand the whole thing about how you could make a video and people watch it and you earn money. She was tripping on that. She kept on saying, now explain that part to me again. So, I explained it, and eventually she moved on past that. So after she went through every fucking job that I've had since I probably was in my mid-30s, then there comes a part in your hearing where this guy, I forgot what his title was, he has something to do with occupations and how your illness affects your ability to work and what type of work that you would have been able to do during this time or after this time or whatever. So child, basically, to summarize what he said, summarize, I should say, what he said. Basically, he told the judge that I was fucked up and that I could not have worked in the same type of employment that I had prior to me having this problem with my spine. And going forward, he really didn't see how I can fucking work then. So I'm sitting there as he's going through all the shit that's wrong with me. Y'all, why I start crying? I was sitting there like, I didn't know I was that fucked up. I didn't even know this motherfucker was talking about me. Y'all, I thought he was using just an example until the shit that when I really started listening, I said, hold on. This motherfucker's talking about me being fucked up. So I'm sitting there bawling, y'all. I knew that I had pain for damn near 2 years and wasn't nobody believing me, because when you have spine pain, unless you're curled over, people look at you and you look like you're okay because you don't have nothing hanging off and, you upright. So they don't see what's going on inside your body. So when this man laid it all out, what I had been going through for the last 2 years, y'all, it fucked me up. I was up there crying like, oh, Lord Jesus, I knew I was fucked up, but it took this man to put it into words. So, y'all, the little court case ends, and I'm, telling my lawyer, okay, I'll see you later. I got to get back to work because I had taken just the morning off because I actually like what I do. So I wanted to go to work in the afternoon. So my lawyer was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We need to talk about what just happened in the courtroom. I said, okay. And he was like, well, you won, right? And I said, won what? Because, y'all, I didn't understand. I just thought I was going down there. To be honest, y'all, I'm going to stop right here. I really didn't know what the fuck I was going down there for. The people had pressured me to go, so I was going to go. I knew that there was a win or lose, but I didn't understand what the win or lose was. So when he told me that I won, I said, well, okay, that's fine. And he looked at me like he cocked his head and he was like, Rachelle, do you understand what I'm telling you? You won your case. I said, well, how do you know? And he said, well, I do this every day. And he said, certain questions and things that, that the judge said, that judge, they say that when the person is about to win the case. He said, and then as we walked out, her office has already started, sending me documents and things that tells me that you won. So I said, well, okay. You're like, fine. I said, but man, I got to get to work, okay? So he looks at me again and he said, you don't understand what that means, do you? And I said, no. And then I noticed that he got serious. He asked me, he said, how much were you getting in your check every month when you were on your um, your long-term disability. So I gave him the amount, and he said, and you remember we're here requesting the money. I mean, he said requesting them to declare you disabled for those 16 months that you were off. And I said, okay. He said, what I want you to do is multiply the amount that you were getting monthly by 16. And I said, well, I don't have a calculator, and, I can't multiply that shit in my head. And anyway, why am I doing that? Now, y'all, I'm going to stop again. I know this sounds incredulous that I did not understand what this was about, but I've never had disability. I don't know anyone that's my age that's actually getting disability, especially not for something like what was going on with me. Now, I know that there are people that are, they have catastrophic illnesses, and, they get disability, but everyday folk like me, I didn't understand. So he gets out his phone and he starts, doing the multiplication, y'all. So he comes up with this number, and he says it's almost $30,000. So I said, okay. And he shows me the number, and he said, you see that number? He said, when I say you won, that's what you won. So I'm standing there like, wait a minute, almost $30,000? And he says, now y'all, I'm sitting here like, my brain is racing a mile a minute. Like, am I dreaming? Did this man just say? Okay, that's where I was. So then again, reality screeches in and be like, because y'all, I'm the type of person that don't believe shit until shit happen. So even though he showed me that number, I told him that I wouldn't believe it until it was put in my motherfucking bank account. So the man was laughing because I actually said that, y'all. I wasn't playing. I said, look, child. I said, all right, you say I won. I said, first of all, I want to see a letter from Social Security that says I won, which, y'all, I did get one. It was about 2 weeks later, I got a letter saying that I had won my case and that they considered me disabled. The only reason why I'm not getting disability now is because I chose to go back to work. I guess if I hadn't gone in there and told the judge that, I need to push myself to work, that I would be getting a check monthly from Social Security disability. But I do not choose to do that. Like I said, my grandmother is 94 years old, and if I'm going to live long as her, I need to be out here working, so when I get her age and I'm needing to get Social Security, that I'll get a decent check. Now, another thing that I want to say is I did notice right before I left the courtroom, the judge told me that she was proud of me. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said that she had people coming in there pretending to be disabled. I guess I should have knew I won when she said this, what I'm about to say. She said, but when I look at your work history, I see that as soon as you felt that you could go back to work, you tried. Because, y'all, I have had in the last year and a half, maybe 5 or 6 temporary jobs until I found this job that I have now that I actually like. So I tried everything. I tried to go work in the HR department. I tried to work as a support rep to other reps, where when at a health insurance company, when their representatives have questions, I am the person that they call, or I am to answer their questions. I tried all kinds of stuff, but each one of those jobs was stressful. They tried to hire me, and I was like, no, I need to keep it pushing until I find that job that I feel fits best for me. So the judge commended me on, even though on paper that they can see that what I'm going through, people are awarded disability for it, but I choose only to accept it for the time that I actually was at home and physically and mentally could not work. Now, what I will say is this, y'all. There are days that I go to work and I'm really pushing myself, or I want to get something done, and I notice that when I come home I am sore. I also notice that the meds that I'm on that help my spine, sometimes they don't last as long as they used to in a day. I used to could take it in the morning, and maybe I wouldn't have to take it again until about 4 or 5 or so, and I'm noticing that the medicine is only lasting to 1 and 2 in the afternoon. But I'm out there. I'm trying. And I guess I won my case. Once again, y'all, I'm not going to believe it until the shit is in my bank account. Now, what they did say is I will have to pay the disability company that paid me for those long-term disability months. Not the short-term, just the long-term. And the lawyer added that up to be about $6,000. So let's just say I'm getting $30,000. They will take out the $6,000, and I guess I'll end up with the rest. Now, y'all, again, I'm one of them young women. Well, not young. I'm one of those women that I don't believe shit to shit happen. When you have gone through life and you've had ups and downs, bumps and bruises, things, got your hopes up high for something only to be crashed down, I've learned to say, you know what? If it happens, fine. If it doesn't, fine. And to be honest, y'all, if I get, just say, because I owe some student loans too, y'all. Everybody keep telling me that, student loan can't reach in, but I'm still paying off student loans, y'all. I joke with my kids and tell them, I say, when I die, they're going to say, your mama still owes us for them damn student loans. Because I went back to school, like I went when I was younger, and then I went again when my son was about 19, 20. He was still living at home, so I know he was about 19 or 20. So I had almost paid off. Well, did I pay off the first set? Yeah, I paid off the first set of student loans, but I ended up going another 4 years, so I have a whole nother set of student loans, and just a lot of stuff. So I was thinking, I said, well, I wonder will student loan swoop in and get my money, take this money from. My friend says she believes is that if it's only if you're in default. Y'all, I can't speak. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. I go into work at, I get to work at 7, so I get up early. So I'm about tired right now. But that's where I am, y'all. That's why I haven't been on, because the job that I have, I go in, I work, but when I get home, y'all, I'm really tired now. I notice in my old age, y'all, I'm sleepy, and when I come home, I'm fucking tired. I go do my little errands, I come on in, take my shower, I come in, taking a shower, and put my motherfucking pajamas on, because I know I ain't going nowhere once I get in this house. And then on top of that, I look over at my YouTube and I'm like, oh, this, that, and the other is happening. I'd sure like to do a video, but the effort that it takes to record it, edit it, upload it, I'm like, I'll do it another day. But here lately, I've been, wanting to come back, and because I find YouTube fun. As long as there's no drama this way, it's actually entertainment for me, and I love making videos. So that's where I've been, y'all. I know this is a long video, but I wanted to, as I was coming back to YouTube, I wanted to have like chit chat vlogs like these where I kind of tell y'all what's going on in my life a little bit, because y'all here lately, folk been talking about their life, and other people been prying and looking in, and I don't have nothing for nobody to find, but I don't want them to pry in a little bit of business that I do have, y'all. But that's where I am. If I get this money, what I would do with it is basically I will put it away for my old age. And here's why I say that. I have family members who have worked all of their lives, but because they didn't make a big living back then, and the cost of living is so high now, even though they get Social Security, it's not enough to give them a really good quality of life. It's covering their shelter, their food, their utilities. They have medical, but they don't really have extra money, to do fun things in their old age. They've worked all of their lives only to get older and just have enough to pay their bills. They should be traveling, seeing this country, seeing the world, and doing what they want to do because they've worked all those years to be able to do it. But the cost of living is so high now. So what I would do is put the money away, take a little bit, pay off some bills, and then put a good chunk of it away. So when I get older, it'll make my life a little bit easier. Because in March, I'll be 54. So I don't have a lot of years left to contribute to, say, a 401k or something like that. So I want to position myself to where I can make it a little bit easier on me when I get older. We can never save, enough where we're balling, because we weren't balling when we were making the money, putting it into Social Security. I'm not somewhere making 6, 7, 8 figures. I'm just an everyday girl out here going to work. So like I said, if I am fortunate enough to get this money, because again, I don't believe shit until shit happen. I really don't believe it. I got my mother telling me, girl, it's going to happen. My brother, he's so sick of me saying it ain't going to happen. But that's just me, y'all. That's just me. Tell me if y'all think like that too. You don't believe shit until shit happen. Well, I have bent y'all ear enough for this evening. So I am going to get on out of here. If any of you have any stories like mine, drop them down in the comments. At this point, I'm doing okay, I guess. Y'all, I'm able to put my foot on the floor in the morning, get up and try to get out of here and go to work. So as long as my body allows me to, that's what I wanted to end my video by saying. As long as this body allows me to get up every morning, put some clothes on, throw some makeup on my face, and get on up out of here and go to work, I'm going to work. I will work until I can't work anymore. Because what I found out is when I was sitting at home, I started to feel worthless, y'all. It was like the world was passing me by and I was sitting here. And it was sitting because it wasn't like I had a lot of money, extra money to be out ripping and running all over the country and traveling. I had to watch my coins because I was on basically a fixed income. Even though it was coming from, me actually having worked at that company and me being on their long-term disability, it still was a fixed income. So I had to watch my coins. And I've decided that I'm going to work as long as my body could let me. If it's 70 years old, I'm going to work. I'm going to work. And that's what it is, y'all. I know a lot of my family members think I'm crazy. And, they tell me that. They laugh. And they'll be like, girl, your broke down ass, your knee fucked up, all this. But, y'all, that's what it is. Again, let me know if you have any experiences like I've had. Thank you for listening to my long-winded video. As always, y'all, I'll see you in the next one. I got to get some rest because at this point, I can't even form sentences now. Y'all take care. See you in the next video. Bye-bye now.